those are waived and people come in the community, somebody's got to pay that money. So the people that have been there for a while are going to pay more.
You can technically waive the impact fees now. They're just reimbursed out of the general fund.
So what we're doing, others have to pay more.
I'm sorry?
Which means, I just mean, it's not a panacea. It's not, man, this is just something that each community would look at and see if it fits them.
That's right. And I wish there was a silver bullet that we could use across the state to fix the affordable housing crisis that we're feeling, not just across Georgia, but across the nation. There's not. This is just one more option.
Maybe getting that $6 trillion out of the M1 money supply.
Mr. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a real quick question also. A lot of projects seem to have a portion of affordable, which is already in the code, or we're adding workforce. But if it's 10% of the new housing, does this bill limit the decrease in impact fees just for the 10% or 20% that are workforce, or could the whole development get waived on their impact fees? This
would be geared as a workforce housing development. So it'd be anywhere between, the housing would be between the 60% and 120% of the area median income.
Thank you.
All right, no more questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Representative New is carrying this for me.
All right, very good. Thank you. Mr. Albers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, committee members. I've got a few bills on the calendar today. The first one is Senate Bill 3, which is reducing barriers to state employment. This will make sure the Department of Administrative Services reviews all the jobs we post for the state of Georgia to make sure that there's not an ask for whether it be degree, certification, or experience requirements, so we don't miss the opportunity to get the best and the brightest. I'll pause for any questions.
Yeah, I got one. They're going to do a regular assessment. Is that when each position comes open to decide whether that position needs a college degree or not, versus on every 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? Or are we looking at individual positions, or are we looking at over a period of time come in and do a workforce evaluation?
Great question, Mr. Chairman. They're actually going to do both. The priority will be the ones that are open right now, but at times that they're able to catch up and start doing analysis on other ones, they'll be doing the same.
Okay. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator, for the bill. Is it not true that IBM went from 98% degree requirements over the last 10 years in employment and now have 52%, and the job is getting done better?
Yeah, thank you, Representative. You're absolutely right. We want to make sure they're consistent with what the need is. You know, I always use the example that Bill Gates couldn't take most of the jobs in technology in the state of Georgia because he never finished his college degree, but one could argue he may have been the greatest technology innovator to walk God's green earth.
Okay, no more questions. Thank you, sir. What's your next one?
I've got 128, 4 from the bottom, and that's a Peace Officer Annuity Benefit Fund that I spoke to you about last Thursday, allowing up to 15% of the fund to be used for alternative investments.
I really think that you've padded yourself as far as who you got carrying this thing as it relates to peace officers. Mr. Hitchens over there.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Can we recommend a different one? This you're really padding your vote over here now. That's unfair.
Mr. Chairman, nobody knows more about public safety and drawing a pension than my friend over there.
I thought you were referring to his ability as a public peace officer. Okay. All right.
I have one more, if that's okay, Mr. Chair.
Okay, yes, sir. We have no questions. Go ahead.
Bottom of the page, Senate Bill 217, Eliminating Ghost Plates Act. That's when people are obfuscating their license plate so they cannot be read. Imagine a State Patrol officer, a local PD, not being able to call that license plate in, not knowing where that person is got a warrant on their arrest for a murder, or they might have someone in the car and we've got an Amber Alert out. This makes sure that the penalties are consistent now with modern day, and we are going to go after those street racers and other bad actors.
Okay. So anybody who has those clear plastic covers over their license plates that have been eat up by the sun over the few years that you can't read the tag, those have to come off, right?
As long as you can read the tag, Mr. Chairman, you're fine. I know some people will use the ones that are very, very dark tinted, and then others will use a spray, so when it's in the sun, it actually whites the entire tag out. And then we've had motorcycles who actually bend the tag up underneath the seat so they can't be seen. We actually chased a few of those
I
last
can't
weekend.
imagine somebody doing that.
Aye, shocked.
Yeah, it's shocking. All right, Doctor. Go ahead.
Would this include changing the tag or altering the tag with like electric tape to change the numbers?
Anything you do to change the way the license plate is shown.
So that would cover that too?
Yes, sir.
Good, good, thank you.
Chairman Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, a follow-up question. I noticed going down the road we have maybe frames that go around the tags that maybe obscure county and other information, maybe even the title or the sticker. So again, this would make it such that the entire plate is visible.
No, Mr. Chairman. Actually, it's just to make sure you can read the numbers across the top. And like you and I and many people, we all have maybe a little ring around that, a frame around your plate, if you will, but that will not impact us at all.
Kind of like the University of Georgia.
Absolutely. That would be a good one to have.
But it's got this little dip on the side so you can read that sticker so we know what year you're supposed to get it. What
Yeah,
month
that
it's
was
supposed
where
to
I'm
happen.
going to. I love the University of Georgia, and our Bulldogs show our loyalty, but making sure that we can see the sticker to make sure that those vehicles have been titled and have a legitimate sticker for that year.
Thank you.
Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the author of the bill, I like it a lot. I think it's a good bill, but I was just curious as to where you got the idea for this bill.
That's a great question from my Senate aide intern. He actually brought this forward, did all the work, testified in front of committee, and a young man actually made the news this weekend for his good work, so very proud of him.
Oh, very good. Okay. And Ms. Kemp's going to be carrying that one for you, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Hold on. Got one more.
Thank you, Mr.
Got the
Chairman.
judge back there.
Sorry, but isn't this already a crime?
It is. We're increasing the penalties as they were put into law a long, long time ago, and because it's become more pervasive, we're modernizing that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's what I was curious.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Hofstadter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great to be here. I know after the time change and everybody waking up, you probably don't want to talk about syphilis, but
Good point there.
Senate Bill 46 does deal with that. We have had 20, 25 years ago, it was almost like polio. We thought it was just about gone. It's come roaring back, and it's really sad because it's very cheap to test for. The treatment, the common antibiotic, is very effective, but we've had a several % increase in neonates being born with it. After I started on this bill, the story came out in Mississippi. They've had a 900% increase. So we're trying to clarify and reiterate what we do on this. And HIV's in this too, but the reason I'm really talking about syphilis is because when those children are born with it, their lung bones don't form, they're severely anemic, the spleen, the brain, the nerve tissue, they're going to be wards of the state. You've got to treat it while they're in the womb, and so we're trying to do this. So it requires everyone, whether it's a doctor or another healthcare provider, to test at the first visit at 28 to 32 weeks and at birth. If they refuse the test, they've got to notify, the healthcare provider would put in writing that they refuse to have the test. We're drawing blood in the hospital. We get 100 things out of that little bit of blood. This is just one of them we can take, so it's not even, anything additional from the patient. It's important that we get back a hold of this. The Department of Public Health supports this bill, and the Georgia Hospital Association helped clarify the language.
Quick question for you as it relates to the individual who refuses to get this test. From what I understand, it relieves the physician of any responsibility as it relates to those two conditions, correct?
Correct. If they won't take the test, and I can't imagine why anybody wouldn't, but if they wouldn't, then, you know, they're not responsible for malpractice at that point or anything by not.
Okay, what about these individuals who don't get any prenatal care?
Well, that's a problem in this state, and the Department of Public Health is certainly working on this and supports this bill, and we'll be trying to do it. You know, in healthcare, many of these things are pennies on the dollar if we catch them early. You know, I work in the operating room. We'll put in a fistula for dialysis, where if somebody had just gotten their blood pressure medicine, kept their diabetes under control, they wouldn't be there. Prevention is cheap, and this is another attempt at making sure we don't have long-term care problems. So it's a big problem in the state.
Chairman Knight.
Thank you. And your mention of prevention or pennies, preventative, maybe a little contrast is how much that this could be costing, not only our society with increased health insurance rates, but also the state in regards to state health benefit plans, Medicaid, if this is treated later. In other words, any idea of the cost that it is putting a burden on everyone?
And I don't have any dollar figures, but many of these things, when somebody's first treated, say, in the emergency room, instead of getting care ahead of time, they're a train wreck at that point, and health care is way, way higher, and their life is a lot more miserable. Anything we can do to catch this early. And again, with this one, it's a common antibiotic. It's easy to fix. It's easy to catch. The test is cheap. We need to do anything we can to encourage everybody to take this and not have the long-term life costs later on from not doing it, and the miserable life that they have as well.
Okay, no more questions. Thank you, sir. Now, who are you? There, come on up. I guess your name is Still, S-T-I-L-L?
It is, Mr. Chairman.
All right, 140, House Senate Bill 145.
Yes, sir. It's second from the bottom.
Now, whose place did you take?
It's one of the newly drawn districts, so it's an equal third of Dolezal, Dixon, and Representative Al used to cover a portion of it. So
okay.
It's part of the redistricting.
Where is over at Norcross or somewhere?
Johns Creek,
Johns
Alpharetta, Cumming, Suwanee, Sugar Hill, Buford.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm reminded as I stand here and we listen outside, if you are quiet for just a moment, you hear the sweet, sweet sound of a leaf blower, and that's what my bill is about. So we're going to transition from STDs to gas-powered leaf blowers. This is a preemptive bill that is a neutral status with ACCG and GMA. They believe that local corporations, HOAs, campuses can make their own decisions about whether or not they can differentiate between electric and gas-powered blowers. And essentially this just allows extreme local decisions to be made on what type of blower can be used based on the job, the need, and the runtime of those two types of equipment.
I think the issue is how loud these gas blowers are. There's a lady walking around Capitol complaining about how loud they are. I've got an electric one that my wife came out Saturday and told me to turn it off. It's so loud.
Yes, sir.
And my neighbor has a gas one you never hear. Okay. Mr. Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are there any, thank you for the bill, Senator Still, are there any local governments that have actually enacted regulations that prohibit gasoline-powered leaf blowers?
None have enacted it yet, but it has been a strong issue of discussion in several cities and at least 2 counties.
Thank you.
Ms. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, Representative Park asked my question.
Okay.
Can you illuminate which counties and municipalities have been entertaining this idea of banning leaf blowers?
Specifically, the city of Decatur, the community of Morningside, DeKalb County have all been discussing it. And if you were to believe some of the group chats, it's far wider than that.
Follow-up question,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Chairman. Since that's my city and my county, I have heard nothing about this.
Of the hundreds and hundreds of emails that I've received about it, that's where every single email has originated.
Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. So in the quick read of the bill, if a city or a county has a noise ordinance, I assume that would apply as long as it was applied the same?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, no more questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two on the list. Let me speak of SB 116 first. That's the new one on the list. That has to do with allowing cities, and specifically the city of Savannah, but this had to be a general bill because it affects our city, relating to leaseholder improvements, basically. We have two facilities, one Grayson Stadium, which was built in around 1915, that the Savannah Bananas owners want to improve the facility, but they want longer than a 5-year term. And that's what cities are allowed to do now, a 5-year term with a renewable. According to Jesse Cole, he wants a 1,000-year lease, but we didn't think that was very reasonable, so we settled at a 20-year lease. And the arena also, that has been so successful relating to the Ghost Pirates that they also want to add seats to that facility and improve that facility, and they would like a longer lease also. I did narrow it down just to recreational facilities and arenas, and that's where we are.
Okay, but this only impacts Savannah, but it
it
could impact other communities, but primarily Savannah.
No, it would affect every city in the state of Georgia. GMA, ACCG are all on board in there. I haven't found any opposition to this, and I've looked for it.
Okay. All right, I see no questions. What's your other one?
The other one was SB 65. That's
You've already presented. We're not going to make you do that one again.
Thank you, sir.
I like it. Go ahead. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let me give you a little heads up on how this is going to work. We got two bills on the calendar for today. We will come back tomorrow morning and set tomorrow morning's calendar and also Wednesday's calendar. So we will not set today's calendar until tomorrow morning, but it'll be picked out of these bills that we've just had discussed with us. So we will adjourn, and I'll see you back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and we'll set tomorrow's calendar and Wednesday's. Thank you.